Earlier this year, the government approved a gas project that will run until 2070 and produce 9.5 times Australia's entire annual carbon emissions. When it happened, it pissed a lot of people off. One of the big reasons was that the gas burnt from this project will contribute to more extreme storms, flooding, fires, and droughts. And the approval made it clear Australia's environmental laws are largely powerless to stop projects like this. You could even say it's time to rewrite those laws. This is Murray Watt, Australia's Environment Minister, and he's the guy doing exactly that. Under the current law, decision makers must consider if a project will directly harm special sites, like the Great Barrier Reef, or an endangered species. But what they don't have to consider is whether it will pump carbon into the atmosphere, heat up the planet, and wreck those exact same things anyway. But given he's rewriting the laws, I asked Murray Watt if this loophole was being fixed.
The short answer is no, in terms of the bill that we're going to be introducing to the Parliament.
Watt said his new draft law doesn't need to address carbon emissions because we have another law that deals with that, the safeguard mechanism, which essentially requires big emitting projects to reduce their emissions each year. But in this case, it doesn't really work like that.
At the moment, the safeguard mechanism only covers once a project's moving.
That was me reminding Watt the safeguard mechanism doesn't cover new projects that will pump billions of tons of CO2 into the atmosphere.
Would this not seem like an obvious loophole to try and close?
The way we're trying to tackle Australia's emissions is in line with the commitments we've made under the Paris Agreement. Essentially, the way the world has agreed to reduce our emissions and avoid those temperature rises that we're all very concerned about is that every country needs to take steps to reduce the emissions it produces in its own country.
If you didn't see what he did there, Watt didn't really answer my question. He's basically saying this isn't our problem since the vast majority of this gas will be burned by other countries. Which, when you think about it for a second, doesn't really make sense because global warming is exactly that. Global. Environmental impacts are going to be felt everywhere. I pushed him a bit further on this because you wouldn't be stupid to assume that environmental protection laws protect the environment from the biggest environmental threat that we have.
I think it's important to remember that the primary task of this legislation is about protecting our natural environment. We have a different set of laws that are related but are different, that are about tackling our emissions and dealing with climate change.
So again, Watt passes the buck, saying there are other laws that deal with this. But as I just mentioned, those laws don't stop new projects. They just make sure the ones already going reduce the damage that they do. Anyway, it seems like we're going in circles, so let's just say the difficult thing. Australia's new environment law is designed to protect our natural environment, but even with these reforms, our laws have a giant climate-sized hole in them. And for now, the minister isn't interested in explaining why.